Today we are at the Glen White Cemetery, 2 miles from the Horseshoe Curve, and we finally got some nice weather. I could get out and film this video, and we're continuing our cemetery series. For the Wandering Woodsman and Day Hike Dave arrived for the weekend, and it should be a good time with them, and I'll be continuing my Glen White series that weekend and going into more detail about this town I wrote a book about near the Horseshoe Curve. So Glen White had its own little cemetery, only consisting of 3 graves that my pap and I discovered on January 8th of last year. And through research and help at the Blair County Genealogical Society, we have discovered the names of 2 men that are buried here that worked in this little mine patch long ago. So the first man we found out about was this guy, Peter Kolak, who was born in Austria and died in 1910 of blood poisoning. He was 38 years old when he died, and he died at the Blair County Hospital, which is located near the Meadows today in Hollidaysburg. The grave right beside him is an unknown woman. And the fact that we know this is a woman is because of grave dowsing that Jim Snyder of the Blair County Genealogical Society performed on February 12th of last year. And from that, this grave dowsing stands true today, for it has correctly identified 2 of these graves based off of our information. We have yet to find any information on this woman, but we will continue to keep looking. I'll go further into detail about my experience and how grave dowsing works in a future video, and how we used it to identify these people. The last and 3rd grave is a little bit further away from the other 2, and it is by himself down here, and we believe his name is Gregory Zuba. He died December 14th, 1914, and the reason he died is quite interesting. He froze to death on the main line, which was 2 miles away from here. On the day that he left Glen White, the town that he worked at for several years, he walked the main line 7 miles one way to Glitzen, where he was going to send $9.25 to his wife, which still resided in his hometown in Hungary. But on his way back, he sat down because of the exhausting walk, and that took his life, and it sucked all the heat right out of him. And he was found the next morning in a snowbank by track walkers along the railroad. According to newspaper archives, the day that he went out on this trek, it was -4 at Catani Point and -10 here at Glen White. He was identified by his brother in Altoona and sent back here and was buried behind the Glen White Church and School, which is where this cemetery is today. Down below is Catani Point Road, or the Veterans Memorial Highway, or on your maps it might be titled Glen White Road, after the town of Glen White that once was here. And right here, this tree in front of me, right to the left of it, would have been the back corner of the school, and you could see there was about an 8 to 10 foot distance from this grave to the back corner of the school. Now the school and the church were removed with the mine patch in the late 30s, and I'll go into further detail about that, or you could purchase my book at the Railroaders Museum or Horseshoe Curve to learn more. And it was also right next to their sewer line, which a manhole cover still is here today. Now this stretched to the back corner of the school, and the woman's restroom would have been right here in this deposit in the ground, where a T would have come up off of that sewer pipe and came out to a little outbuilding as seen here in this photo. And a little on further down, right around where these dirt piles are, would have been the male restroom. So right down here on this roadbed is where my pap sat on January 8th of last year and noticed these graves sticking out of the snow, the very little snow that we had that year. And that is when we finally made the discovery of where these graves were and some information about them. Jim Snyder, who told me at the time of I was making this Glen White project and writing this book, told me that there were reports of graves here, but he did not know where to look. So since we knew where the church was, that is where we started and that is where we found them. So I would like to identify who the woman is buried here, if that is a woman, and notice how her grave, her headstone, comes to a point rather than a square like who we believe Peter Kolak beside her. The oldest living residents left of Glen White, who are 94 and 96 years old, and are part of the DeGaulle family, who lived about a half mile down the road from my location, went to school here. And Sam DeGaulle, who spent 3 years of his life attending school here, right here, in this very spot, did not even know that these three graves were here at the time that he was attending school here, and all the times that he hunted this area after the mine patch expired. So it's crazy to think how these people were forgotten about, just like this town. And I, and with help of my family and various historical organizations around our county, have brought light back to this forgotten town and this forgotten cemetery. So I've taken this cemetery under my wing, as you could say, and my pap and I have helped maintain this cemetery, weed whacking it and placing wreaths on it at Christmas time and flags on it for Memorial Day, which I'll be doing this weekend with the Wandering Woodsman and Day Hike Dave. So stay tuned for those videos, and it should be a good weekend with them here exploring Glen White. And if you haven't already, you can check out my book, Glen White, PA, the town that was forgotten in the Allegheny Mountains, available for purchase at the Railroaders Memorial Museum, World Famous Horseshoe Curve, BarnesandNoble.com, Walmart.com, and various other online retailers. So go ahead and check that out. And I'll have various events over the summer of book signings and presentations. So if you want to come out and check that out, I'd be glad to talk to you. And don't forget to subscribe to Allegheny Mountaineer and stay up to date with all my events and videos and posts about our Allegheny Mountains here on Altoona, Pennsylvania history on Facebook and Instagram. I will be continuing this cemetery series with a lot more cemeteries in store, and I plan on heading to Bennington Cemetery next. So stay tuned for that. And this is the Glen White Cemetery.